Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this edition of PT Talks. Happy International Women's Day. Today we'll be having a panel discussion with some absolutely amazing guests and of course celebrating today's International Women's Day. As this is a Prince's Trust event, you will also learn about how we can help you and your business attract really diverse talent by partnering with the Prince's Trust. I would firstly like to say a huge thank you to Dell Technologies, who are very kindly sponsoring PT Talk today. And they're also a fantastic partner of the Change a Girl's Life campaign in support of International Women's Day through Women Supporting Women. The Change a Girl's Life campaign this year sees 72 businesses unite to specifically raise funds for young women that we work with in Prince's Trust programs. Dell Technologies are also kind ambassadors for the Prince's Trust Women Supporting Women Network, and they have been a partner with the Prince's Trust for over a decade. We're so pleased to be working with them as young women have been disproportionately affected by the pandemic. My name is Gemma Craggs, and I have been with the Prince's Trust for just over 7 years now. I run our Women Supporting Women community, which is a collection of women, men and businesses who all feel passionately about supporting the next generation of young women. We aim to raise £10 million by October 2023, and this is to really help even out the participation rates of female to men on our Prince's Trust programs, as sadly we do reach less young women at the Prince's Trust. I've also got to say a huge thank you to Dell Technologies and also the Co-op, who are very kind supporters of Women Supporting Women. For me, what I love most about my job is the fact that you can really see the impact at the Prince's Trust. And I know through my 7 years of being here, there are female beneficiary stories that will literally stay with me for a lifetime. I think I speak for everyone on behalf of the Prince's Trust, and I say that young people really are the heart of everything we do, and they really are our motivation for being. I'm thrilled that we have lots of new sign-ups today to PT Talks. I've been told that this is actually our most popular PT Talks we've ever done, so no pressure on me or the other panelists, but thank you so much for joining us today. For those of you who don't know, the Prince's Trust is the largest youth organisation in the UK, and we have been going for 45 years, and of course we are founded by His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales. We have recently reached an absolute historic milestone, and we have changed 1 million young people's lives to date, and we support those young people aged 11 to 30 who aren't currently in work, education or training, or suffering other barriers to fulfilling their true potential. Our vision is quite simple, that every young person deserves the chance to succeed no matter what their background. Today, as well as the panel discussion, we will also tell you about how your company can help diversify your business by employing Prince's Trust young people. We will support you from the recruitment process to retention to improving work culture. We at the Prince's Trust are here for you, and we have an incredible talent pool of Prince's Trust young people who just need that extra help to get them into the world of work. Please take a look at this video. Thank you. Do get in touch with our Get Hired team, and we'll be popping the Get Hired email in the chat for later. Now, to set the scene, I don't know about you, but this year's International Women's Day particularly feels really important. It was amazing to see Boris Johnson actually discuss that young women, well, women had been acutely affected by the pandemic. So this is why the funds that we specifically raised through the Prince's Trust is all the more important. Women have been disproportionately affected by COVID-19. More than 78% of those who have lost their jobs are women, and 2/3 of those are aged 18 to 34. I really want to pick out those ages, 18 to 34, because that is potentially young women at the start of their career. They could have left just left school, could have just left uni, had their whole lives ahead of them, and their careers have sadly been interrupted. Alongside that, we have the warning from the International Monetary Fund that COVID-19 threatens to undo 30 years of economic gains made by women. And currently, women are still carrying out 60% more unpaid work than their male counterparts. And it was great to see that some schools have reopened today to hopefully shift that burden away from women to help them focus on their jobs. The unemployment rates are similarly stark. Young women were 2 times more likely to lose their jobs than some young men. And I think there's also a huge focus on helping to diversify businesses now more than ever. If your company has more than 30% women executives on your board, you're more likely to outperform companies that have less female representation. Gender diverse companies are also more innovative, resilient, and financially overperform in comparison to companies who do not have diversity on their board. So hopefully there's a huge initiative to get more young women and women within your business. So let's start on what we're all been here for, which is a panel discussion. But firstly, a little bit of housekeeping. Please do pop your feedback in the chat box along with any questions. And I've got to say, it was brilliant to see all these questions coming through at Eventbrite today. We would really love to hear from you, and do keep looking at the chat box, as we will keep popping extra information in there, such as email addresses and whatnot. So to introduce our wonderful panelists. Today we have some absolutely inspiring panelists, and I feel incredibly lucky to be amongst them. Catherine, it would be amazing if you could please introduce yourself first, please.
That's great, thank you, and afternoon everybody. Hi, so I'm Catherine Douglas. I'm the Managing Director for the Cooperative Bank for SME, so I work with a lot of businesses, and I am also the exec sponsor for our Gender Equality Network as well, so supporting females through their career at the cooperative. And I'm really delighted to be here today, so thanks very much for the invitation to be on the panel. I think days like today and events like we're having today are just brilliant for you to share and hear other people's experiences and stories, and I just know I'm going to take away a lot of really brilliant ideas that I can share with my colleagues back at the cooperative. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Catherine. Tiwa, over to you.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me. I'm Tiwalola Ogunlesi. I'm a confidence coach specializing in positive psychology and the founder of Confident and Killing It. Confident and Killing It is all about waking women up to their worth so they can be confident, unstoppable, and really dare to live the life that they truly desire. So I'm so glad I could be here today talking about how important it is for young women to get into the workforce, to build their confidence and to thrive in life, because everyone deserves that opportunity.
I've got to say, you've got the best business name ever, I think. Giulia, if you could introduce yourself, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Giulia Hendy. I'm a HR business partner for Dell Technologies. Happy International Women's Day to everyone out there. In my role, we are always looking at how we can improve our gender diversity and inclusivity. So really happy to be here today and to share the passion that tech is a great place for young people, and particularly for females to be joining. We're in the middle of the 4th Industrial Revolution, and it's a great place to be.
Thank you, Giulia. And last but not least, the lovely Noor.
Hi everyone, I'm Noor Kimit. I am a young ambassador who went through the enterprise programme at the Prince's Trust. I'm owner of Seaworthy Consulting, which is a maritime recruitment company, and I was interested to be on the panel. I'm proud to be on the panel to represent someone who's been through some of the guidance through the trust and to represent the amazing work that they do.
Thank you, Noor. And thank you again for helping with this event, having recently done the Unbosen event with me and Hannah. We're very appreciative. Okay, first question is to you, Tiwa. As a confidence coach, you have lots of first-hand experience of working with young women. But why do you think it's particularly important to build their confidence and self-belief at the start of their careers?
So what you believe about yourself is the foundation to every single thing that you do. So if you believe you're worthy for opportunities, you will put yourself out there. If you believe you have something to offer the world, you will put yourself out there and take action on your dreams. I actually started Confident and Killing It because when I was working as a youth mentor, I was working with girls aged 15 to 17, and every single one of them asked me to help them build their confidence and help them love themselves more. And that absolutely broke my heart, because I remember when I was 16 and I didn't love myself, and I was comparing myself constantly, and I didn't feel good enough. And so I said, how are we here again, almost 8 years later? And I'm seeing the same generational cycle over and over again in women, where we don't feel confident. And as a result of not believing in ourselves and not feeling confident, we don't take action. So what you believe about yourself is the foundation to everything that you do. And so confidence is a practice. It's actually a science more than an art. And so it's so important that we educate girls and upskill girls so they know and believe in what they have to offer the world, and they feel good about themselves, and then they take action. Because like I said earlier, every single woman and girl needs to believe that they are worthy of opportunities and they can take action on their dreams.
I've got to say, I absolutely love that. And I think that is particularly what our youth workers find when they do start working with young women in particular. It's always the confidence piece that seems to hold them back. So totally with you there. So moving on to confidence, Noor, you're a wonderfully confident young woman. However, it wasn't always the case, and obviously with your accent, you're from Greater Manchester. What has been your journey to date, and what have you overcome in terms of challenges?
So I wanted to set up my own business, and I didn't have a clue how to do it. I didn't realize there was help out there until I came across the Prince's Trust. I did the enterprise program. There was a 5-day crash course. And that was mixed male and female, but I was quite worried that having a corporate business within the maritime sector, that the women are the minority in the maritime sector. And I was worried that I wouldn't be respected. Being young and being female are two things that do stick out like a sore thumb in that sector. So I did the enterprise program, and over the years, I've realized that actually being confident and knowing your material and what you do, you gain the respect that way. But I did come across obstacles. Going to conferences, I was one of the only females. People would come up to me and say, "That's great, I want to speak to your boss." And I'd turn around and say, "I am the boss. You can speak to me. I am the owner of Seaworthy Consulting." And they would look shocked that a 27, 28-year-old woman is the owner of a corporate business. Going through that, before I even set up the business, I had to get audited, and the surveyors that audited me told me that I looked like I didn't know very much within the maritime sector. I ended up leaving that in that meeting, showing them that I did. So I guess it's to overcome taboos. People do not realize that there are heavily male-dominated sectors, but there are also women that do specialize in those sectors and excel. And I think that we need to be examples. Even I make an effort to contribute to raise awareness that there are women out there who need to set the standard for the rest of us. And the Prince's Trust has definitely helped me do that in the past 3 years. And I'm truly grateful. And that's why I'm a young ambassador, because rolled on with that, I am also dyslexic. So between the two, they've definitely helped me excel my skills to where I am today. And to be on this panel, I'm truly grateful for people listening in and paying attention to this matter.
Thank you, Noor. I love that. Someone wanting to speak to your boss and being able to say, "I am the boss." That's how it always should be. Giulia,
Gemma, sorry, can I add something on what Noor said that I forgot to mention? And something I really love is that you kind of showed up as your full, true, authentic self. Especially when you're working in a male-dominated industry, oftentimes young women and girls will tend to shrink themselves to just kind of blend in. But it's actually so important that we own our strengths and we own our skills and not try and play dumb, but really celebrate ourselves for the skills and the strengths that we have. Because when you celebrate yourself, you remind yourself of all the amazing things that you've done. And in the future, the next time you walk into a boardroom or something and people are kind of like, oh, you don't look like you know what you're doing, you can be like, actually, I've handled this situation before, I can handle it again. So I just really love what you said, Noor, and I just wanted to emphasize that point when it comes to building confidence. You know, one is the mindset thing, but two, also it's the outward expression of loving and believing in yourself and owning your stuff.
Yep.
Perfect. Couldn't have said it better. Giulia, you obviously work in a male-dominated world, which is tech. What do you think the barriers are and that women still face into getting into this type of work?
So I think going back 20 years, there were a lot of barriers, and you know, it was absolutely a male-dominated environment. But we have come quite a long way. I think all technology companies have grasped that more diverse workplaces and teams deliver better results, as Gemma, you referenced earlier. But nonetheless, it is still male dominated, and that can be quite daunting for females coming into the business. So I think from a HR perspective, to break down those barriers, it's all around setting that first impressions and the selection and hiring process to make it welcoming, to make sure that you're setting targets that aim for gender neutrality, that, you know, adverts perhaps talk about purpose of the role. So if you're looking for a software engineer, you don't jump straight into must have Python, must have C++. You want to talk about what's the purpose of the role. Is it software that's going to help the environment or help human health, or you know, what is the end game? And so there's the barriers that exist, we can very much influence. Other examples of what HR can be doing is ensuring that we have diverse interview panels. So, you know, you can be what you can see, I think is a popular quote at the moment. And that if it's an all-male interview panel, that's again very daunting. So make sure that you're embracing and celebrating the successful females that you've got in the business, and allowing them to meet candidates as they come and find out about your company.
And was that quite an easy thing, do you think, for Dell to take on as a policy?
Yeah, I think because of our drive to want to hit a gender equal workforce by 2030, we've looked at every aspect of how we operate, and we're always trying to push those barriers. So we absolutely mandate that we have to have diverse candidates on every interview list, you know, every short list. And we talk about it daily. It's not something that we set out to do at the beginning of the year and then 12 months later we go, oh, we never quite got there. We talk about it every day, every week, every business review. How are we doing? So it's in the fabric of the business.
That's fantastic. It sounds like you're really, well, you're seeing it to be it, and you're literally living and breathing it, Dell, which is great to hear. The Co-op is also another fantastic business that does so much social good. So Catherine, just the biggest thank you, and also thank you for supporting women. Could you tell us how leadership plays a role within gender equality within the workplace, please?
Yeah, so I think, look, leadership is really key, and I think strong leadership is key, and I think it has to come from the top as well. I think it's something that starts with your CEO and comes all the way down through the leadership team as well, because it's so important. But I think also that balance, and you referenced some of the stats, I think, Gemma, in your intro, which was very interesting, and it is about getting that balance of senior females into organisations as well, to really help, you know, that produce a better business. So increase your profits, growth, and really driving that culture. And I think leadership is so key to driving a strong culture, and something we work really hard at the cooperative bank. So, we have, all our senior males fully on board with this agenda, and really wanting to drive the change and make the change and support females at whatever level they are in their career and time in their life to really sort of be successful. So I think if you have got that good leadership, it builds that great culture. Culture obviously then breeds a better success for everybody, and we really do have women that do support women, and we have real models as well, because I think that's really important, just as well as role models. So people that women that other women can actually identify, and we've got a really good balance of senior women within our organisation as well, and that definitely makes a difference around that leadership, because we all bring different perspectives, and I think those different perspectives then bring just a really nice balance across our business.
Fantastic. And do you have certain internal networks that really help to drive this equality agenda forward?
We do. So yeah, we do have internal networks, and I think they are also really important. So the network that we have for females is around Elevate. So
I might just repeat that question. Catherine, do you have internal... Oh, sorry.
Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, okay, that's great. Yeah, we do have internal networks in our organisation, and the network that actually supports our females is called Elevate, and this is around our women's career network. And I think what it does is it just demonstrates as a business that we really do support the D&I agenda, and I think that's important for colleagues to see, because they see that it is very much part of our strategy. They see that we're working across all elements of D&I, but particularly around the gender piece, because that is probably our most established network that we actually have. And I think, like today, it just gives colleagues an opportunity to meet with like-minded people who share the same passions, but also gives them a safe space to share ideas, share their experiences, whether they're good or not so great. And I think because we do it in such a cooperative way as well, and collaborative fashion, that people really want to join those networks and also have a say and feel that they can make a difference to people's future, which I think is great.
Thank you so much, Catherine. I'm sorry, there's a bit of a delay on my side. So, Noor, how can women succeed in a male-dominated industry like maritime? Is there any lessons you want to impart to the audience today?
Well, I feel like from my experience, I had a background in fashion. And I feel that employers need to pay attention to more skill set rather than experience. As a recruiter, I always get asked for experience, experienced crew. And I always go back to our clients and say, you need to pay attention to skill set and certification. I feel that a lot of women don't have the experience in specific sectors, but what they do have is skill sets that can be applied to specific jobs. So I feel that in regards to skill set, and also in regards to looking and interviewing and being open-minded around people. And I would always refer back to myself. I joined an industry that I had nothing, I didn't even know it existed. But what I did have are skill sets in sales that I, again, didn't know I had until I actually worked in a recruitment firm. And so my advice is for women to be persistent, to be confident, to be able, you never lose anything by applying to certain positions. And I feel that employers need to look outside the box and not be trapped in following a specification and basing it on experience, which is where I feel usually firms get trapped. They don't look at skill sets, which I think is very important. There's all individual people have different types of skill sets, and it's those skill sets that allow a firm to excel. So for me, for women to exceed in a male-dominated industry, sometimes when men are making the decisions, they go and levitate towards men. We need more females in those top decision-making jobs, but we also need to look at skill sets rather than experience, because the skill set can be applied to specific jobs.
Well, I think we lost Gemma.
I think we have.
Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. I think we just lost Gemma's network. So just to build upon Noor's fabulous point that she's just made there, Giulia, following on from what she's just said, what is the current state of play within the digital and tech industry, and what does the future look like for women to get into tech?
Okay, so currently in tech, to sort of say where are we with diversity, you can look at all the big tech industries, companies, whether it's ourselves, Google, AWS, Microsoft. We're all looking to do the same thing. We're all looking to push our gender split, and it's not going to be easy, right? Because there's I think less than 20% of computer science graduates are female, so we're all competing for a lot of the same talent. And on top of that, you've got digital transformation. We've just seen it with the pandemic, that companies have had to flip overnight from a site-based strategy to a work from home or work from anywhere strategy. And so, you know, that's adding even more pressure into the system. In terms of skills and where are we, we've got a skill shortage, and we very much want to get engaged with school leavers and undergraduates at an early stage to get them interested and signed up for a career in tech. I think moving forwards, for all of those reasons that I've just mentioned, add on top of that the power of progress, or the pace of change with AI, blockchain, all of these technologies. They're not going to slow down, they're going to speed up. So that will continue to build the skills gap. So I think I saw a statistic that in 2030 there'll be something like 4.3 million jobs unfilled globally in the tech sector. So the future, I think, if I was a woman coming into tech now, if I was 20 years younger, wouldn't that be great? I would be so excited about a future in technology, and I would be grabbing it with both hands. So yeah, please, you know, come talk to Dell, and we'd be very happy to hear from anyone.
Apologies that we're still having a little bit of difficulty with Gemma's network. But thank you, Julie. That was a really insightful answer. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Tiwa, I wonder if we can come to you now. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about how you think companies can help elevate more women to senior positions? I'm sure you've got a load of wonderful thoughts about this.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's a two-way thing. I don't think the onus should be only on women, to grab their seat at the table and, show up super boisterous and take up space in terms like that. But also it shouldn't just be on the management and the company to create those spaces. I think it's a two-way approach. So first things first would be having, when companies need to invest in their people, when your workforce is engaged, when they feel like their skills are being used, when they feel like confident in their job, they are more likely to be productive at work, and that leads to increased profits and things like that. So training and actually creating a space where you are investing in your people is crucial. And I go into corporates all the time and run confidence workshops and well-being workshops, and people really, really need it. So investing in your employees is number one. And then on the other side is, we really also need to have sponsorship where people in senior positions of leadership actually reach down and pull up younger women and support them and sponsor them and be their kind of support system and cheerleader when they're in rooms where those young women are not. So having a sponsor or a mentor in the corporate world is so important, because when somebody is a couple of years ahead of you, when they're in the big meetings and the big projects are being discussed, they can put your name in the room and help you build your personal brand. Building a personal brand is super important in the workplace, because people need to know who you are, know what you stand for, and know what you are capable of doing. There's this saying that says, let your work do all the talking. Absolutely not. Your work will not do the talking. As a woman, you really have to learn to promote yourself and to to promote your work and to get comfortable with self-promotion. And Google actually did a study where they said, where they found out that both men and women don't like women who self-promote. So that's a bias we all have to be aware of, right? Women are told to shrink themselves and not be too braggy and too arrogant. But actually, when people know who you are, know what you're capable of, opportunities come your way. If there's no point being the world's best kept secret, because people won't know what you have to offer and what you bring to the table. So I think women need to also feel more comfortable with self-promotion and know that it is not arrogance, it is not bragging, it is facts. If you have done it, own it, okay? Because it's facts. And at the same time, we need the people at the top to open the doors and be the gatekeepers and be practical about lifting young women up and giving them chances to shine. I love what Noor said, where it's not about experience, and actually look at the skill set. Because when I started off in the workplace, I didn't have that much experience, but I was absolutely intelligent and I had great skills that were transferable. And I knew that if they put me into certain projects, I could perform, even though I didn't necessarily have that experience. But again, in the corporate world, there's loads of politics with experience. And it's like, we need to let that go, because again, I'm sure you've all heard the stats that say women will only apply for a job when they meet 100% of the criteria, whereas men will apply when they meet 60%. That means there are so many women that are disqualifying themselves from opportunities because they feel they need to show up perfectly with all these years of experience, and they don't have that. So again, looking at your hiring processes and the language that you use in the process is also really important. And then you also have to go to where young people are. So if you're a corporate, saying, I don't know how to hire Black women, I don't know where Black women are, that's not an excuse anymore, right? We have organizations like the Princess Trust who speak the language of young people, who have a whole, network of young people. So it's not enough to just say, we don't know where to find, diverse people and young people. Absolutely not. You've got to be intentional about it. The communities are there, the networks are there, but you have to go to where the young people are, speak their language, and then they'll be interested in your company and what your organization does. And then when they get in, you nurture them, open the doors, help them own who they are, build their confidence, and then they get to positions of leadership.
Hi everyone, we've had some problems with Gemma's Wi-Fi, so I'm going to be taking over. I used to host these talks, so yeah, hi, nice to see you all. So thanks Tiwa for those great points. I actually learned how to promote myself properly and more from doing one of your confident workshops, and it definitely has helped just to build my brand. I literally tell everybody what I'm doing all the time now, so it's a great point. And yeah, definitely reverse mentorship and getting senior people to really champion the young people. And like Tiwa said, if you want to reach diverse talent, you know, you have got companies like the Prince's Trust, so please do reach out to us. Catherine, how can you create the right culture in the workplace to help young women?
So actually, I think there's quite a few things you can do to sort of really nurture it and get the right culture. But I do, again, believe that it very much starts from the top, from your CEO and your executive team, and really think about what it is that you want to do and what the strategy is to create that great culture. Because I think women really need to see, not only, you know, see, feel and hear the right things, but we also need to see actions being taken. And I think one thing that can really support females and create the right culture is your HR policies. So, you know, think about what your parent and carer sort of policies need to look like, and your flexible working policies, just as a start, you know, because females, you know, do need to have time off to have families, and you can be, you know, you can work and you can also be a mum, you know, and I have done exactly that, you know, and I've still, you know, managed to get my career to a really senior position by having that support. Talent and succession programs, I think, are really vital so that females can actually see what their career path is. And I totally agree with the piece around, you know, it's not only experience. If somebody and a female has those qualities and attributes to be able to do the next role or a different kind of role and really has passion to be successful, then we should absolutely be nurturing that passion, because I can very much guarantee that any female will absolutely work. I was going to say, I better be careful what I say, but they'll absolutely work incredibly hard to make sure they achieve their aspirations, which I think is great. But another really important thing is you need to have male allies on board. So people within your company, you know, males within your company need to see how important this is and see the benefits. And we've heard from, you know, all of the panel today what those number of benefits are really. So, you know, it is about women supporting women around that whole mentoring, coaching, but listen to them and actually listen to what they actually want and what they need from you, rather than just making any assumptions. And I think all in all, that can create a really great culture.
Thanks, Catherine. Just on that note about male allyship, how would you advise companies who are on the call to get those male allies and bring them on board?
You know, there will always be male allies within your organisation, and I think it's giving them the confidence to speak up, because sometimes it is that fear of what they may get from other male colleagues. But in every organisation I've worked with and for, there's always been males, and I think it is just, you will know yourself the males that completely believe in this, and it's about, you know, asking them to speak up and to be part of it, because as I said previously, it's all about having a really good balance as well across your business of male and females. So it's just sometimes just having those one-to-one conversations, just eyeballing them and asking them if they're prepared to speak out. And I think once you find that 2 or 3 speak out, then a number will join suit and really come and support you.
Thanks, Catherine. And thank you, everyone, for all of your amazing points on the panel talk. So we're now going to go over to some Q&A. So we have some questions that have come through the Eventbrite, but anybody who's on the chat, just pop them in there and we will try our best to pick them up in the next 15 minutes. So I've got a question for Giulia. So with homeschooling and working from home, how do you think that COVID-19 has slowed down the progress of gender equality in work? I actually heard on the radio this morning that women have gone back, I think, around 10 years because of the pandemic globally. So How do you think in the workplace that COVID has affected women?
I think for sure, in the short term, women have picked up, maybe the lion's share of balancing the homeschooling, the caring responsibilities, also trying to do their day jobs, and I would hope though that in time that would balance out. I think there could be a positive unseen consequence of the pandemic in terms of females being able to achieve higher levels of seniority within an organisation, and I think that's brought about by the fact that most organisations are saying they're probably never going to return to a full-time site-based philosophy, and if you think about senior roles within many organisations, in the past they very much have required an on-site presence 5 days a week, working late into the evening, being maybe entertaining clients, and always kind of switched on for business. Now, one of the consequences of us becoming more virtualised is that all of this is now being done from home, and yes, though it will balance out, and there will be a requirement to go back to physical meetings at some point. But most organisations are seeing that there's benefits to not having that older mentality, and therefore I think that makes a lot of more senior roles more accessible to females who will probably always have more of the carer responsibilities, but if the company has a flexible working philosophy that allows you to be based on outcomes as opposed to hours worked, then it's possible that this change in practice could lead to more opportunity. That would be my view.
Thanks, Giulia. I know we spoke last week about flexible working, and I was asking, is that a cultural change that needs to happen within a brand or a company, or do you think that's a policy? So I don't know if you can shed any thoughts on that.
I think it's both. It has to be underpinned by policy. There has to be an organisation has to spell out that flexible working is very much embraced, and in Dell we've had that philosophy for a long time, and we underlined that in September last year when we revamped our connected workplace policy, and so having that backbone, if you like, is the first step. I think on top of that, though, leadership have to be seen to be living the spirit of that policy, and so leaders have to be seen to embrace an outcomes-based culture that doesn't require you to be sat for 8 or 9 hours a day visible on the instant messenger function, that you can still produce a great job whilst also balancing other things, and therefore the reward and the feedback and all of that needs to all be consistent.
Thank you. Thanks very much. And a question, I'm going to go to Tiwa next. So this is one that's come from Eventbrite. How do you think that men in the world of work can authentically challenge for gender diversity, as it can seem like a minefield?
Okay, how can men authentically challenge? I think first things first is to acknowledge your privilege as a man, right? You are often not the only one in the room. There's often loads of you. You're often in positions of power. So acknowledge that you do have a certain privilege, and then use your privilege for good. So when you see any sort of gender bias happening, race bias happening, call it out in the moment. Don't watch something happen and then go back to the person and be like, oh, I can't believe they said that to you. No, call it out in the meeting, in the moment. When you see somebody who is, saying kind of like what happened to Noor, right? Oh, you don't look like somebody who could. Call it out. Why? Why does she not look like? Is it because she's a woman? Don't be afraid to do those things. And also, if you're a man and you get called out on, gender bias or inappropriate behavior, don't internalize that as you being a bad person. Okay. If somebody says because, you know, I saw a microaggression, or how you made me feel is a bit uncomfortable, then acknowledge it, acknowledge how you made that person feel, and then come up with a plan to do something about it. But don't act like people are saying you're the worst human being in the world and you're now going to go to hell. No, that's not what we're saying. All we're saying is you showed somebody a microaggression and they've called it out. So see people calling you out as an opportunity for growth rather than you not being a good person, okay? We are all good people at the bottom of our hearts, but sometimes we make mistakes, and that's okay. That's what makes you human. The key is to not keep on implementing those mistakes, but to learn from them and make sure they don't happen again. Also, like I said, sponsorship and mentoring is so important. If you're in positions of power, you know, ask women what they think about things, get their opinions, you know, bring them into the meetings, and also understand that there is enough room for everyone to thrive. Because I think a lot of the times people get into a competitive mindset where they feel if I lift somebody else up, they might take my spot. But actually, when you lift somebody else up, then you create a whole room with badass people who are owning their confidence, owning their skills and their talents. And then that's how magic is formed. Like, you know, I'm sure you've all seen the stats. When you have a diverse board, you get more profits, there's more impact. It's amazing. So don't feel afraid to empower others and to lift them up, because they're not going to take away from you. You have to be confident in yourself and in your greatness to know that I can support somebody else without taking away my shine.
I love that, Tiwa. Thank you. You've got loads of amazing comments in the chat as well. Everyone's loving all of your thoughts. So yeah, keep the chat function going and all of the questions coming in. So, Catherine, how do you think that companies can help ensure that female progression is not impacted by women taking maternity leave?
Well, I think the first thing companies can do is don't make any assumptions that because a female has decided to take maternity leave and have a family, that she doesn't want to progress, because that won't be the case. So I think you've got to have the conversations with the individuals, and I think you've got to treat females as individuals as well. And as Tiwa's just said, you know, talk to them, understand what they want, understand what their needs are. Now that you can also put some policies and procedures around it, you know that contact while they're off. And again, you know, it all goes to what that individual actually wants. May want regular feedback, may want, you know, regular conversation about what's going on in the business so they can keep themselves up to date. But something I've done in the past is almost had like a buddy system, especially for when a female returns to work from maternity. So, you know, they've got somebody there that they can just turn to for advice and support, and sort of set up that sort of network of mums to help them and bring them back in. But again, and I know Giulia and I have both referenced this previously, you know, some of the HR policies can really underpin that around, you know, the flexible working and just having that flexibility and those policies in place to support females. And I think it's just about getting the balance right for the individual, but making sure that as a company and as a business, you don't sort of put a stigma around that, you know, she's had a family, so she won't want to progress, so we'll discount it this time because she's just come back, because that definitely won't be the case.
Thanks, Catherine. Yeah, I'm starting to think about that myself, and I definitely want kids, definitely want a family, but I'm very driven in my career and life and progression. So totally agree with you on that one, Catherine.
Yeah, you don't individual circumstances as well. So, you know, for a female that wants a career as well, she'll have thought about, you know, the support that she needs, you know, behind the scenes to help her with her career. And I think, you know, there's a lot more males now as well that are taking, you know, paternity leave and also taking career breaks because they want to be heavily involved in the family. So just don't make the assumption that it's always going to be down to the woman.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why paternity leave is very, very important, so that the buck doesn't get passed to women if they want to go back to work after giving birth. Thank you. And Noor, how do you celebrate talent for what it is and remove the stigma attached to your gender at work?
Oh, I'm going to follow very smoothly on what Tiwa said. I'm going to tell you guys a story. In October, in my industry, I think social media is huge. We can do everything on social media. This talk is on social media. And in October, there was a captain that used TikTok. She was female. Some of you might have come across the story. And she had quite a few sexist trolls that said you can't be female and be a captain of a mega cruise ship. She addressed that and owned her place. She deserves to be a captain. She's done through all the certificates, and she went back and owned that place. And I feel by following on what Tiwa said, you need to own the space. You need to show examples and stand up for yourself in dominating industries. It's the only way we remove the stigma. There are a lot of, in the maritime sector, in the construction sector, there are loads of sectors, technology sector, a lot of young women probably do not think that they apply to the role. Engineering is one of them. And I feel by showing those examples, putting it more in social media and making it more normalized is the way we remove that stigma. That captain went viral and she deserves it because she is a captain, she has all the tickets and she has every right to be there. And for someone to say that she can't drive a vessel, a huge vessel, because she is female is absolutely unacceptable. So it's to remove that stigma. And I think social media is such a powerful tool. We can all do it at our fingertips these days. And so companies need to celebrate the females that are within their hierarchy, from the top right to the bottom, because there are women that will be sitting back saying, I want to be that person. I was like that. I watched all sorts. Dragon's Den is one of them. And through the trust, I've been very lucky to speak to one of the Dragon's Den females. And I remember a few years ago saying it would be my dream to be like that person. And so it's very, very powerful tool to use social media and to remove the stigma.
Thank you, Noor. I totally agree about removing stigma. So thank you for those comments. I've actually just become the co-chair of the Gender Equality Network at the Prince's Trust, and we're all doing events for the month of March all around International Women's Day. And the theme for this year is Choose to Challenge. So somebody in the chat, Izzy De Ferreira, hopefully I've said your name correctly. How do you effectively and appropriate challenge things in the workplace that are to do with gender bias or gender issues? I'm going to leave that to anybody to answer.
If I could pick up, I think probably on Catherine's point around creating the right culture. I think creating that right culture up front that calls out that this will not be tolerated. These are the right behaviours, these are the wrong behaviours. And if everybody understands that from the get-go, then it avoids any side cultures or any misunderstanding. And then secondly, what Tiwa said is call it out there and then, no tolerance, and it will become a way of life. It's just how we do things around here.
Also to add to that, I think when it comes to speaking up, when maybe you've seen a senior person do something and it doesn't sit well with you, before we want to speak up, our minds are already saying, don't speak up, that's stupid. What if you make a mistake? What if something goes wrong? What if everybody hates you now because you spoke up? So I think it's important to understand that psychologically speaking, your thoughts lead to your feelings and your feelings lead to the actions that you take or you don't take. So when you're in a meeting and your mind is going, what if you say something stupid? What if you say something stupid? You've got to pause and really ask yourself, what if I don't say something stupid? Because it's in the future. You don't even know it's going to happen yet. So don't go into your future and think of the worst possible outcome. Go into your future and think of the outcome that you actually want. So instead of thinking, what if I speak up and no one likes me anymore? You can say, what if I speak up and I'm a role model to another woman who needed someone to speak up? You also have to ask yourself, if I stay silent, who benefits? Right? Who benefits from me not speaking up? In that situation, it's the senior person who said something inappropriate or had the gender bias and things like that. And they carry on with their life because they don't know that they've done anything wrong. And they keep doing this to one woman after another woman after another woman. And then you're kind of sat there wishing you had said something. So when you speak up, things change. If you look at moments throughout history, all it took was one woman to speak up about something, and that empowered another woman and another woman and another woman. So there is actually, power in your voice, and your opinion matters. So the next time you're in a meeting and you want to challenge someone and you want to speak up about something and your mind goes, oh no, what if no one likes you? It's not your job for everyone to like you, okay? That is not the goal in life, to be liked by everyone. And so don't water yourself down to make sure that everyone likes you. You will have to ruffle some feathers in life, but that's what it takes to make history and to bring change. So yeah, that's what I would say when it comes to challenging. You've got to use your voice in a powerful way. And if you do speak up and it goes badly, and you end up making a really senior person angry, and your job is kind of on the line, then I almost will see that as a blessing in disguise, because then I know this organization is definitely not for me. So if somewhere stifles your voice and you end up leaving, I think that's a blessing, because then you can go and find somewhere that will actually value you. So the fear of what if I lose my job? Okay, but that might be a good thing, because then I might go to another company where my voice will be valued and I can speak and bring the change that needs to be brought to the world.
Thank you, Tiwa. Definitely agree with calling it out and believing in your voice. Thank you. So as we come to the end, so thank you so much, panelists, for all of your time. I really quickly just want to ask each of you, for the audience that's on the call, they may be senior people, they may be people who are just starting off in HR, they all may be at different stages of their career or within the world of work. So what advice and action, so a short measurable action, can the audience start doing from tomorrow? So Giulia, would you like to go first?
Well, I think if I was talking to any HR colleagues on the call, it would be to just take a little mini audit of your diversity agenda, and all the things we've said about it being sponsored from the top. Is that the case? Look at your policies and your processes, your hiring approach, and just see where you are today. And even if you can't fix everything overnight, but if you can take one or two steps in the right direction, then it's obviously all going the way that we should be going. So that would be a HR call out.
Thank you for that. And Noor, over to you.
My advice would be to first of all look internally at your business and company and to see what the ratio of male to females are, and to look at their skill sets. Those females, do they want to work up? Can they work up? And what policies and procedures are in place for those women's to kind of go up to the next stage, and what support is out there for that. And then after doing that audit, look outside. I was a woman that did an embroidery degree, and now I'm doing a corporate service in maritime. So it's all about the skill set and moving your business forward that way.
Thank you very much. And Tiwa, over to you.
Dagmar, sorry, I didn't get the full question.
Could you give one key measurable action for the audience on the call to go away and implement tomorrow?
Okay. So if we're looking at the corporate side of the audience, I would say invest in your people. We are in a pandemic, and the people who work for you are humans too, okay? We're not robots showing up to work every day. We are humans. And so don't forget the humanity, even when you're in the corporate world. Invest in your people. Make sure they feel engaged and alive in the work that they're doing. Make sure they're connected to a bigger sense of purpose, and they feel confident enough to speak up, because when they do, it just leads to success for your business, and there is so much evidence to show that. And then If there are any young women on the call, I just want to remind you that, you know, you matter, your voices matter, your skills matters, and your potential is limitless. There is so much greatness in you, and the world is your oyster, but you have to believe in yourself, and you have to be intentional about your personal growth. Growth does not come with age. You've got to start now, and you've got to start investing in yourself. So don't wait for anyone to co-sign you or believe in you. Start by believing in yourself and investing in your personal growth.
Thank you. And Catherine?
Okay, so mine's probably quite short and sweet, really, and I think it's probably relevant to anybody that's on the call today. We've talked a lot around women supporting women, so mine would be: which women are you actually going to support and champion and really help them realise their full potential? So champion the cause, and let's all be champions.
Thank you very much. Some great takeaways from all of you, and I'm glad that I've stepped in last minute off the cuff, and some really great conversations. So thank you all to the panelists for joining today. Really appreciate your time and your insights, and thank you to the audience for joining us. So I just want to remind all of the businesses that are on the call, like Gemma said, if you do want support to finding diverse talent, then please do get in contact with the Prince's Trust. We have access to pre-screened young people, and we can help you really get a variety of different people within your world of work. So please do reach out to us. I believe my colleague will write our email in the chat. I just want to finally say thank you to Dell for being the headline sponsor, and to the GMCA for continuing your support across Greater Manchester. So thank you for that. Thanks to all the audience for your questions, and see you next time.